On the field. Off the field. Sports talk. Entertainment and more. This is Sauce on the Side.
Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome to episode 62 of the Sauce on the Side podcast. As always, Dippers, I'm your host, Drake, joined by the producer, the man, Leighton Pip Shaventone.
I'm in favor of game 163.
Today, it's going to be a little different. Today, it's just me and the producer in the studio. First time we've ever really done a two-man weave on the Mothership show. So, we're going to see how it goes.
It's interesting, I think.
It's going to be interesting. We're not promising you a great show. We're not promising you a good show. We're promising you an interesting show. Something different. Something just a little different than what we normally do. We're still going to try to do all the normal stuff. Keep it light, have fun. But we're going to see how this goes. Guys, be sure to follow on Spotify, iTunes. We are officially off SoundCloud now, so obviously you're not able to hear this on SoundCloud. Give us that 5-star review. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're rating. And be sure to check out thefsgn.com, where you can find our podcast and other podcasts. And Leighton, we've actually been talking about maybe even going to where we can actually do this show with a camera, too. So hopefully that'll be in the works soon, and we would be on YouTube, and I don't know what else we would be on, but hopefully that'll work out, too.
Yeah, we're going to explore the options, not this week, maybe not next week, but in the coming weeks, we're going to have updates for you guys. We're going to explore options on how to do it, how it would work best, because I have no idea how to do this. This is a whole new venture for us.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I think that would be pretty interesting to be able to actually watch the show and not just listen to it, because I think that would help with actually seeing the points and getting things across. And I think one of the more fun shows that we would actually be able to do this would be Fantasy 15. I think Fantasy 15 would be pretty killer with the video. So Leighton, we're actually just going to... See, I'm going to do that a lot. I feel like I'm going to say guys.
You're going to say guys a whole lot. I'll say guys today.
Yes, Leighton is plural today. So if you hear me say guys, I'm speaking to Leighton. So we're going to kind of break down what we've seen in baseball. 162 games was not enough. We had to get 163 in. We're going to kind of break down the playoff matchups and the playoff picture as it sits now. Right now we're doing this show, and it's all but over in the Dodgers game, with them being they're kind of destroying the Rockies right now.
Yeah, it's 5-0 last time I checked.
And we will talk a little bit about Week 4, what we'd seen, and we'll talk about our Week 4 word association as well. Kind of talk about college football, preview the 3 top 25 matchups. We actually have a really good week of college football, and we'll even throw in saucy 6-pack of games and break those down. So the marathon is finally over. 162 games were not enough, like I said. We had 163 game today, both in the NL West and the NL Central. The Brewers actually beat the Cubs 3-1, and the Dodgers, as we speak now, are up 5-0, probably going to beat the Rockies unless their bullpen pitches like the Dodgers bullpen and gives up 5 runs and just a little bit of left in baseball life. So what do you think about them playing 163 games?
So, I say this having my team, the Red Sox, not be in it. If they were in it, I'd probably be where you're at, where I want it to be the divisional record. But if it's for playoff seeding, something like that, go with tiebreaker. But if for winning a division, I love the idea of having just a one-game kind of playoff to have the winning division. It's unfortunate that the wild card game is tomorrow night for the National League in this case, but overall, I like the 163 game idea. I think it's more fun, and think about it, now we get meaningful baseball basically for a month straight every day, that day off.
Yeah, but the thing that I don't get about it is that you play each team in your division 19 times. So 19 is a pretty obscure number, wouldn't you think? Like, you would think that if it doesn't have any implications like that, the games don't necessarily mean as much as, they mean the exact same as other games, you'd think that they just rounded off at a solid 20.
Yeah, And I thought that's today too. And I don't know how scheduling all made up. I wasn't in the room with this 2-game schedule, the format for it. That's be a reason there's 19 games and not 20.
Yeah, because I feel like 19, they're basically setting themselves up to say, at the end of the season, 2 teams in a division cannot tie against each other.
What it is, it's probably the 19 games to decide who gets home field advantage for game 163.
That's terrible.
It's actually a possibility.
That is a possibility, but I think it's terrible. You know, I said even on the Ducks on the Pond that I didn't really understand why they would do this, because now you're looking at a Cubs team, which, you know, obviously the Cubs are my team, so I can dive into it a little bit more. But the Cubs, they played yesterday to end the regular season. They played today to kind of end the regular season, you know, kind of put a bow on things with 163, and then they play tomorrow. So the Cubs right now, they're going to play game, I believe it's game 34 in 35 days or game 33 in 34 days. Either way, over a month stretch with 1 day off.
Yeah, that is tough, but for a team, okay, so when I pull about all those games were meaningful because you didn't have the division wrapped up. The Brewers have now won 8 straight games. I feel like
they're on fire.
They won 8 straight games for winning this division. That's absolutely insane. That's coming more clutch. The Cubs had a chance to lock it down and be able to rest their starters like, you know, a lot of American League teams did, and save your bullpen on and use the whole 40-man roster, but they didn't. And I feel like the fact that they couldn't shut it down is more reason to have one game 163, because they really give the Brewers a chance to, hey, okay, if we win 8 straight games, we can win this division, and they did that, and they deserve to win the division.
But I feel like then you're almost honoring, you know, if you look at it from that standpoint, then you're almost honoring teams that get hot later more so than teams that are hot early, you know, because games are supposed to mean the exact same. The first game means as much as 162, and I feel like if you go through that whole entire stretch, that's the way it should be. Now you're looking at a Cubs team that's, and even the Rockies now, that are going straight from finishing the season to 163. Now they're playing the wild card, basically win or go home. All right, bam, 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 3 days. And I look at a Rockies team, it's pretty unfair to them because they played in Colorado, which would be, I guess, the like Mountain Time Zone, and then they played their next game in LA, which is in the Pacific Time Zone. Now they're coming over to the Central Time Zone to make 3 games in 3 days in 3 different time zones. I think it's as much a disadvantage to the Rockies, maybe even more so than the Cubs. And you know, I think I would be more okay with them playing 163 had they had said, okay, we realize that the scheduling is kind of messed up now. We're going to flex these NL games to Wednesday instead of Tuesday. That way these guys can have a day to prepare, because you're walking straight into the postseason without a day off.
But this is fortunate for both teams having the same situation. It would be way less fair for the Rockies or the Dodgers have set up on Sunday, and you guys had to play today, or vice versa.
Yeah, oh man.
Game 163 though, I don't know. It's a game 7 feel. It was a playoff feeling. I loved it, and it was great. And I'm in favor of game 163. I probably always will be, just because of the entertainment value of it.
You know what I thought was funny today? I was watching the Cubs game because, you know, it's such a rarity that you do get 163. This is only the 7th time that it's happened in MLB history. 2 of them happened today. But they say that it counts for your stats for the regular season, and it's a regular season game, but yet they had the extra umpires out there. Like, everything about it was a playoff game, except for the fact that it's not a playoff game.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, oh, it absolutely is a big deal. I mean, your division comes down to one game.
One team's guaranteed 3 games, other one guaranteed 1.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I don't think it's good, and because, I mean, it's 162 games. I mean, if you can't figure it out then, I don't know why you need to add more.
They couldn't, though. They tied.
But what happens whenever you run into like a 3-team tie at the top of a division? I don't think they thought that far into it.
No, because that is so unlikely. But there's definitely a rule in play in case that happens.
That's crazy. So we'll kind of break down the playoff bracket as it lies now, and we'll hit both the wild card games. Just stuff to look out for and what we're really looking at of these games. So, like we said, on Tuesday, the Cubs play the Rockies in Wrigley Field. What do you expect out of this game?
I expect the Cubs to win this game, first of all, because I assume you're going to throw John Lester.
Yes.
Okay. You're going to throw John Lester. The Rockies, much of them the entire season has been their pitching. Kind of like the Brewers. The Brewers just got hot. You guys have just as good bats as the Rockies. Better pitching. Definitely better starting pitching. Bullpen to be debated. Definitely better starter. I think this game will be you guys. I think it's going to be over by the 4th or 5th inning. I think you have a considerable 4 or 5 run lead.
See,
You guys come in pissed off about what happened today. The Rockies, like you said, had to travel. Be best prepared.
yeah. I mean, man, just imagine that emotional just flip that the Cubs had to go through, like from today till tomorrow, to watch the Brewers clinch the division on your home field and be back on that field tomorrow to play the Rockies. I feel like if the Cubs lose this game, it is definitely an emotion thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a talent thing, because I think in a one-game set, I think the Cubs are better than the Rockies. I think top to bottom they're better than the Rockies. I think our bats are better than the Rockies. I think the pitching's better than the Rockies. I think player by player, we are better than the Cubs are better than the Rockies, and I think that will be enough to get the job done. But I don't know if I'm going to be surprised if the Cubs lose. I feel like the only reason why I give the Cubs a little bit of an emotional edge over the Rockies is just for the simple fact that the Rockies have played, as of tomorrow, 3 games in 3 separate time zones. I think that's a lot of wear and tear on a team.
Would you almost rather face the Dodgers with a better starting pitcher like Kershaw than the Rockies with that lineup that can just absolutely mash?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I wouldn't either, because, like I said, the starting pitching in playoffs is probably the most important thing. And I don't know who the Rockies would be starting tomorrow. Probably some guy I never even heard of.
Yeah.
And, the Dodgers would be starting Rich Hill or Kershaw.
That's been like the Rockies rotation like their whole time. I'm not 100% sure who they're going to throw. I would imagine it'd be Gray.
Gray, yeah, but I don't know how Gray pitched.
Yeah, especially because they were basically in the same situation as the Cubs, where they're still trying to win those games at the end of the season to make it into the postseason. So it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a very good game to watch. I do think that the Cubs are going to win, though, and I think a lot's going to go into this game. It's more than just a baseball game, in my opinion. I think that there's a lot of stuff that's going to be weighing on these players going into tomorrow, more so than in the AL. So we'll go to the AL wildcard game. That'll be on Wednesday. We get the A's heading to Yankee Stadium to play the Yanks. Are you still stuck on the Yanks winning?
Yeah. The same thing with the Cubs, It's a better starting pitching, and the lineup's just better overall. Playing at home, don't got to travel across 2 time zones, and they got that short right field porch.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with the A's. I really do. I think I'm going to stay on it. And even after today, like seeing how the Cubs and Brewers game went, I think it even pushes me more towards the A's. Where, you have this team with this really good bullpen. Starting pitching's kind of questionable, Like the guys have kind of been pitching above their head. But if the A's can get that early lead and just immediately dive into that bullpen, get, 4 or 5 innings out of, their starting arm, and immediately turn it over to the bullpen with a lead, they can put the nail in the coffin right then.
They could, yeah. And last year we saw Severino playing the wild card game. I think he gave up, 3 or 4 runs in 2 innings. The Yankees just happened.
A's are going straight to the bullpen at that point. They're going all hands on deck. They get that 3-run lead after the second inning, all hands on deck. They're going in.
This is an important game for the A's in the past 20 or 30 years. I know winning the World Series, but arguably in the past 20 or 30 years, most important game in A's history. And because this gets you to the DS. It's a huge game for them.
Right. It is obvious. I mean, it's a must-win game, obviously. But I think that the A's are going to win. And like I said on Ducks on the Pond, the memes are going to be hilarious. Like, if the A's are able to pull this off, we're gonna know to the cent on what these teams paid for players this year, because everybody's going to throw that in the Yankees' faces. Like, this unbelievably high payroll to this unbelievably low payroll. They go out there and end up getting waxed. I think that's going to be pretty funny.
That being said, I'm definitely cheering for the Athletics. Kind of like you were cheering against the Cardinals, because you don't think they would beat you, but there's just that chance you don't have that happen. I don't think the Yankees will beat us in the 5-game series without having home field advantage, but I don't take the chance of that happening.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't if I was in your shoes either. So we'll look at the NL divisional series. You know, the Brewers obviously beat the Cubs today. If the Cubs win tomorrow, we will get an immediate rematch, but it'll be a 5-game set. Brewers will have home field advantage. Who are you taking? Who are you giving the edge to? And who do you think's going to advance?
I'm going to go with the...
This is tough.
This is a tough one. I'm going to go with the Brewers, man.
You really think that...
The home field advantage... I felt like this Braves team has overperformed to an extent, but I think the Brewers and the Braves both got lucky though in this series because neither team has great starting pitchers. They have good lineups, and I give the edge to the Brewers because they do have that home field advantage over the Braves, and I feel like that series could go 5 for sure. But I feel like the Brewers having home field are going to pull the series out.
Yeah, the Cubs have been a pretty good road team this year, though. I think I'm going to... This one's tough. It really is. I think the only thing that the Brewers really have on the Cubs is a bullpen. Like, their bullpen is better than the Cubs. That's for sure. But I think that the Cubs' bats are better. I think that the Brewers' bats are pretty hot, And today... the Cubs, they always have that potential to go out there and lay an egg. I mean, 3 hits today off of, a mediocre starting pitcher in Chasen is pretty rough. And I give the edge to the Cubs more so in a series. And I don't necessarily hate where the Cubs are at not having home field advantage, because if they do win one of those 2 games in Milwaukee, then you're looking at a Cubs team that, do you really think that they're going to lose, 2 of 3 to the Brewers at home? And I don't think that that's going to happen. And then, you'll end back up in that game 5 elimination game, all hands on deck again. And I give the edge to the Cubs. I don't think that the Cubs are going to get beat by the Brewers 4 times in 1 week. Mm-hmm. I don't think that that's going to happen. So I'm going to give the slight edge to the Cubs here, but I am unbelievably nervous about the Cubs right now. I mean, they've been through a lot recently.
Yeah, it'd be tough.
So we'll go to the AL. Your Red Sox, you have them going against the Yankees in a 5-game set. Who are you leaning on in this series?
I'm leaning to the Red Sox. Big reason because we have home field advantage. We're the best record at home throughout the whole season, and at home. I am extremely nervous though about Chris Sale and David Price in game 1 and 2. This could be a really, really short series if you have to depend on Rick Porcello to pull it out in Game 3 at Yankee Stadium.
What happened last time he played at Yankee Stadium?
Complete game, 1 hitter.
That's right.
Will that happen?
Rick Porcello, big game pitcher.
Will that happen again? Very, very unlikely. I do have faith in Chris Sale because he had thrown a ton this season, had a 2 months off for the injury. But David Price being extremely nervous going on Friday night. It's either Friday or Saturday night. But I'm going with the Red Sox. Home field advantage reigns all.
Yeah, I think the Sox, no matter who they run into in the DS, whether it be the Athletics or the Yankees, I think they're going to make pretty quick work of them. I mean, the Red Sox have been by far the best team in the MLB all season. And I think that it's going to really stand out early on in the playoffs. And I think that no matter who they play, they'll make short work of them. And I have the Red Sox winning in 4 games. And I could see it really going, Price and Sale both throw phenomenal games, and those Red Sox bats are unbelievable. So they're going to get on them early. They're going to win those 2 games. It's very, very hard to sweep teams in the playoffs, especially a team like the Athletics or the Yankees. So I'm going to give the Sox the edge. I think they're going to win it in 4. So we'll go back to the NL, and we actually have a 5-game set with the Braves and the Dodgers. Despite having to play game 163, the Dodgers will have home field advantage in this. So where are you leaning in this series?
Dodgers home field advantage. I'm going to go with the Dodgers, but then to take all 5 games. I think the Braves are over 2 time zones. The Dodgers are going to win at least one of those 2. Still 1 back in Atlanta, and then win game 5 at home.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you on the Dodgers. Yesterday, whenever we still were trying to figure out who's going to win one game 163. I had the Rockies winning, so they would have been playing the Braves. But I don't think that the Braves can beat this Dodgers team because, the Dodgers at least have guys on that roster that have been in the postseason before. They know what it's going to take to get the job done. I think this Braves team is, still really young, and they're a year or two away from being that upper echelon team in the NL. So I'm going to give the edge to the Dodgers, especially, their starting pitching is way better, and I even think that their bats are better. They're a really tough team, and I think if you just look at it player by player, the Dodgers have more talent, and I think that if they lose this series, I think I'd be really surprised.
Yeah, it would be shocking because this got Machado. Machado's, hadn't done as well in LA as he did in Baltimore. But still, Machado, they have Bellinger, they have Muncy, who apparently just became almost a 40 home run hitter this season. They have the pitchers. If the Dodgers lose this series, I'll be pretty surprised to see the Braves in the CS.
Yeah, I think this will be a good series, though. I'm going to give it to the Dodgers in 4. So back in the AL, final divisional series matchup that we'll have the Indians and the Astros. The Astros will have home field advantage in this, seeing that the Indians only won 91 games. So where are you leaning in this matchup?
The Astros are the heavy favorite, and rightfully so, because they should have been a favorite. They won 100 games, overall been more dominant than the Indians have. But the Indians still have, 4 really good starting pitchers. They have 4 really good bats, a lot of good complimentary bats. Honestly, they have 5 good bats with Michael Brantley now. They have 5 good complimentary bats. I'm going to take the Astros because of the home field advantage, and they're just really good at home. Their starting pitching is unreal. All the pitching is unreal. But I think this series will go 5. And if the Indians pull this out, I don't know how surprised I'd really be.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be surprised if the Indians win this. In fact, I'm going to give the edge to the Indians. The Astros, during the regular season, were 4-3 against Cleveland. So it's almost, it's pretty dead set, even matchup. I mean, we're looking at a team in the Astros who set the MLB record for the most strikeouts recorded in a season. And then on the other side, we have the Indians, who were a team that had 4 guys get 200 strikeouts, which is an unheard of feat. And I almost think that that's more impressive than setting the MLB record in strikeouts. And I know that that's kind of bizarre to say that, but I like that. And I think that the best player in this series is actually on the Indians. I really do. I think Jose Ramirez is actually better than any other player in this series. So I wouldn't be surprised if he catches fire. In fact, I expect him to catch fire and be able to propel the Indians over the Astros. I think it's going to take 5, and we haven't really seen a World Series hangover, per se, set in with this team, but I feel like it's almost inevitable.
Yeah, you could honestly make the argument that the Indians, 5 years ago, Indians have maybe 4 of the 5, definitely 3 of the 5 best players in the series. With Jose Fandor and Lindor and Bentley. I have 2 very good for spring up there with 260 average over Encarnacion or Donaldson. Maybe you could, but Indians definitely have 3 of the 5 best players in the series.
Yeah, and I feel like Donaldson's going to make that one big hit where Indians fans are just going to be drooling over this guy and just be unbelievably happy that they were able to pull off that trade whenever they did. So I expect Josh Donaldson actually to kind of step up and have a big hit in this series that's going to kind of swing one game in favor of the Indians, and I think that's going to be the difference. Mm-hmm. I really like the Indians' starting rotation, and it's not a knock against the Astros because I think that they're phenomenal, but I think right now I'm going to give the edge to the Indians, but I think that this will be, just like the others, I think that this is going to be a phenomenal series, but I think it's going to go 5. I really do. So in the NL, you have the Brewers versus the Dodgers. The Brewers obviously have home field advantage throughout the postseason. 7-game set, Brewers-Dodgers. Who do you like?
It's a tough one here. This is where I think the Brewers, I don't want to call it luck, but I think this is where I find they cool down. At this point in time, they would have won at least 13 out of 18 games. I think the Dodgers are honestly the more talented team. Blue is way harder right now. I think at the core, Dodgers more talent. I think in a 7-game series, the Dodgers will show, and they're pulled out in 6 games, winning back in LA.
You better hope. That way they can keep Machado over in LA. Give him a little taste of the postseason.
Let them know how it tastes to win in LA.
Yes. I actually have the Dodgers and the Cubs. I don't feel great about it, but I just feel like the Cubs are the most talented team in the NL. And, outside of Kershaw, nobody really scares me that bad with the Dodgers. I know that the Cubs bullpen isn't the best, but I think bullpen by committee is better than what the Dodgers have to offer. And I just think that the Cubs, if they get to that point, I think that they're going to end up winning that series. I think it's going to be a very tough-fought series. It'll be better than last year's Cubs and Dodgers series. I think it's going to go 6 or 7. But I look at this Cubs team, and I am impressed, just like I have been over the past few seasons with this team, and they look like a World Series team. With that being said, it's going to be a ton of games in a row, a ton of meaningful games in a row for the Cubs, but it's the same with the Dodgers. But I'm going to go with the edge just slightly. Slightly edge goes to the Cubs in this series.
Yeah, and I didn't say this earlier, but we ended up one of the Brewers over the Cubs is, because the Cubs lost at home today. We both thought like we could see them losing tomorrow, and then they're playing a ton of games just so close behind, and it seemed like they didn't look defeated today, but they looked tired today, and they're tired of the past several games. And I'm thinking that Brewers series, how long can they keep that up? And that's where it goes down for me.
Yeah, they've been a tired baseball
I can see them, just waxing anybody else's ass and the next time going to the World Series. But I have a hard time seeing them playing that many meaningful games in that sort of time span and keeping it up.
Right. So we'll go back to the AL. You have the Sox and the Stros. Who are you leaning for in this matchup?
Oh, man. So, last year Houston Astros really put it to us. They won 4 games. They got to Chris Sale, got to David Price. Actually, no, David Price kicked ass with the bullpen last season. Forgot about that. They got to Chris Sale, got to Porcello, got to Stephen Wright. I don't like the Astros. I don't like playing them. But
I don't think anybody does over the past couple seasons.
This is a new year. We stole Alex Cora from him. Alex Cora wants to win the World Series. Really wants to be the Astros. You gotta know he does. So I'm going to go to the Red Sox. It's going to go 7 games. It's going to be great. Chris Sale's going to come out of the bullpen and close out Game 7 of this series.
I think I agree with you no matter who the Red Sox play. I think that the Red Sox are the best team in the MLB. I have them actually cruising to the World Series, winning it all. I think I have the Indians and Red Sox. I think the Red Sox will... I think the Red Sox would beat the Indians in 6. I have the same if they had to play the Astros. I just think that this Red Sox team is almost too good to even get their backs into a wall in a game, into an elimination game. I don't think that they'll go 6. I don't think they'll go 7 or 5 in the DS. I just think that they're too talented, and we haven't really seen them string losses together this season, so I don't think that that's going to happen. The only team that was able to sweep the Sox this year, though, was the Indians, if I'm not correct.
That's correct.
So I'm going to give the edge to the Red Sox because that means that the Indians had beat them a ton in a row. Mm-hmm. But I just think that the Red Sox are by far the best team in the MLB. So your World Series matchup, you actually have the Dodgers and the Red Sox. Maybe a little fast forward to whenever you have to see Machado in Yankees pinstripes multiple times throughout the season. So who are you giving the edge to in that series?
Yeah, I thought about that whenever you said give it to Machado winning in LA. I thought, well, shit, we're going to see him for the next, 8 to 10 years in New York anyway. So I'm making start now. So right now, let's start making him lose now. Maybe if he beat LA in 4 or 5 games, he won't want to go to New York and face us next few times this season. But I'm thinking the Red Sox, it won't be 4 or 5 games. I think it'll go at least 6. But I can see it going 7 games, let's win at home. But I think it'll go 6 games, we win it on the road.
Yeah, I have the Cubs, Red Sox. I think that the Sox are going to mop them. I don't know if they mop them should be the correct term, but I just don't think that the Cubs, they look like a World Series team, but I don't think they look like a World Series championship team.
I was actually texting Brandon about the Cubs last night into today about how there've been times this season where he's thought they're the best team on the planet, and time when they thought they were complete trash, and the Red Sox really have had the whole complete trash thing. Granted, I'm a pessimistic fan, so I always think I think we're gonna get swept in the DS, honestly.
Yeah.
But it probably won't happen. But yeah, the Cubs, the inconsistency that scared me the most.
Yeah, and I think that that's what's going to happen in the World Series. I think that, the Red Sox are one of those really consistent teams that no matter what the day is, no matter who they're facing, they're going to put up a few runs, and you have to score runs on the Red Sox in order to beat them. And I don't think the Cubs have the potential to lay the egg, where the Red Sox don't. And I think that the Cubs are going to have one or two bad games, and that's going to be the difference in the series. I don't think it'd be a mop 'em. I think that was a little bit of an overreaction. I just think that the Red Sox are just better than everybody else, and they should and they will win the World Series. And I think that they would beat the Cubs probably in 6 because the Cubs will lay an egg, like I said, at least in one of those games. So, hot topic: Christian Yelich, MVP or no?
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
This
Unfortunately,
is crazy because we came on here 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we were all unbiased. We thought there's nobody going to get caught. But looking at the stats today, Yelich, he's always been hot as hell the past 7 or 8, 9 games for the Brewers. He now has a better batting average, OBP, and slugging. He has more walks, fewer strikeouts, 1 more steal, more home runs, more hits, more runs scored, only 1 fewer RBIs. So even with the whole him getting hot over just the past 15, 16 days, he still for the whole season has better stats. And 3 weeks ago, I don't think any of us thought that was possible for that to happen.
No, I agree. But the only thing is, if you can't look at DH as being a stat for an MVP, like you look at a guy like Christian Yelich, like he has a negative WAR defensively. So, if you weight it like that, you should almost automatically pick Baez in this spot, because they are pretty similar. I know that Christian Yelich has the nod on just on those stats by marginally, with the exception of batting average, but I think that what he did in order to get this team into not only the postseason, but to win the division, I think that he has to be your MVP at this point, so I agree with you. So probably one of the coolest, I don't know if it's cool, but the weirdest thing I think I saw in the Sports Week, CC Sabathia needed to throw 7 innings in his start, which would have been his final start of the season, in order to get a $500,000 bonus. Goes out there in the 6th inning, throwing a scoreless game, retaliates, hits a guy, gets thrown out, and misses out on his $500,000 bonus. And it's kind of funny because 9 times out of 10, whenever a guy gets plunked and the pitcher is throwing at him intentionally, everybody calls him a dirty player. Right now, the narrative on CC Sabathia is that
just an idiot player?
No, people have been talking, praising this guy, saying this is what's going to make the difference for the Yankees in the postseason. What? Yes, I've been hearing it from everybody. Everybody on ESPN's been just driving that point home, this is the momentum they need. I'm like, how in the world is plunking a guy giving a team any momentum?
I have the logic here. Remember back when Joe Kelly hit freaking Tyler Austin or Austin Taylor, whatever the guy's name was?
Yeah.
The next time we played the Yankees, we swept them in 4 games. We swept the series in 4. So now they're thinking, okay, well, he said Red Sox player. Therefore, going to the playoffs, but they need to go forward. I don't know. I don't agree with that at all. I feel like the Joe Kelly thing just kind of reset the whole rivalry deal. Didn't give us momentum going into the rest of the season. But it's what I look at it, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's
better than the game. I play for doing it.
Yeah, I think that it's an absolute terrible idea to look at it like this is going to send them into the postseason on fire.
Sabathia, the guy who's barely made the postseason rotation.
Yes, he is the difference in this team winning and losing in the postseason. That's just so bizarre to me.
So, wait, you think Sabathia isn't going to be the X factor for the Yankees?
Believe it or not, he's not going to be the X factor.
You think it might be a pitcher or a player who's not 100 years old with 13,000 miles on the shoulder?
Yes, I think it'll be somebody other than CC.
That's probably a pretty accurate thought. Do you have more thoughts for us?
Yes, I do, actually.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine.
And I'll start it off with the hot topic. CC Sabathia. If he hit that man on any other day, he's a dirty player. Earl Thomas. There is absolutely nothing wrong with showing team pride. When you get taken off the field by showing the most common signal for the bird, that's team spirit. What do you call something that can't get its point across after saying it 162 times? Baseball. Cardinals fans, hold off on those hashtag 12 and 19 tweets. They're just not as cool as 12 and 12. Sam Bradford went from starter to third string and not even dressing on Sunday. We are setting up for the first time that he has made it through the season without showing up on the injury report. Brian Kelly and Notre Dame, now 1-20 versus top 10 teams. Red River rivalry, this Saturday. Stat of the week. Texas has won 2 times since Colt McCoy left Austin, Texas. Spoiler alert, Texas doesn't get the win. James Franklin, traditional man, just decided to white out his team's chances of winning with a read option on 4th and 5. What do you call a goat with a well-groomed beard and eyebrows waxed? Mitchell Trubisky. Just when we thought John Gruden was the worst coach in football, he got to play Hugh Jackson. And there's a new book out this week, and it's being released this Saturday. And it's titled, Go to Sleep, Little Khabibi. And it was written by Conor McGregor. And those have been my thoughts. So, latency, I kind of talked about it a little bit. We'll go into NFL football now. We'll cover on week 4. Mitch Trubisky, 15 career games heading into Sunday, and he had a measly 9 touchdowns. This Sunday, he almost matched his career total, and he threw 6 against the Buccaneers. Are you leaning towards that this is a fluke, or do you think that this is a guy who's finally getting control of his ability to play the quarterback position, and more importantly, getting control of Matt Nagy's offense?
So he is getting more control of the offense kind of comes naturally. But I'm going to pump the brakes really hard. Honestly, I'm going to come to a screeching halt with the whole call on this one. Because here's a list of some of the guys who have thrown 6 touchdowns in the game. It's happened 40 times, not much at all. Here's the guy who's done it. Tell you know these guys. Adrian Book, Len Dawson, Tom Flores, Jim Hardy, Charlie Johnson, Joe Kapp, Daryl LaMonica, Tommy Kramer, Y.A. Tittle.
Oh, I know Y.A. Tittle.
We know Y.A. Tittle,
yeah.
But you don't know what's on that list. No. So, let's pump the brakes for a second on Mitch Trubisky to figure this whole NFL thing. I'm still not sure how good he really is, but he looks really good on Sunday. But it could just be a really, really, really astronomically bad Buccaneers secondary out there. But either way, this is definitely good for you and your Bears, but how you want to cut it.
Yeah, so I went through and I actually I figured up all of Mitch's passes, because a lot of people were just saying that he's like a dink and dunk guy. And I think that was really just because he didn't know the offense, It's a very, very hard offense to learn with Nagy, and it took a really smart quarterback to have astronomical success under it. A veteran guy like Alex Smith basically ran it like an orchestra. I mean, he did a beautiful job with it, and he's always kind of been looked at a career dink and dunk guy. And I watched the game film again, and I figured up the total yardage that he had thrown during the game. So basically, how far the ball had traveled down the field. And I wasn't going, sideline to sideline. That didn't matter. It was just from where he threw the ball to where they caught it, how many yards forward that the ball went. And the ball traveled 364 yards.
That's efficiency.
He threw 354 yards in the game. So, I mean, in that offense where they're looking to take the deep shots, they actually have a kind of an exaggerated drop back. And Mitch was, more often than not, 7-8 yards back. So that you have to calculate that into it. And where the guys caught the ball. And a lot of people, were kind of dogging him for throwing these short routes for touchdowns. First touchdown went 48 yards in the air. Second one went 28 yards. Third touchdown went 15 yards. And then 29 yards, 1 yard, and then 10 yards. But they were to all different wide receivers. I mean, Taylor Gabriel was the only guy with 2 touchdowns. Allen Robinson got him one. Trey Burton got him one. Cohen got him one. And even Bellamy got him one. So in an offense that we're expecting the ball to actually go to a ton of different targets and him to kind of utilize everybody, he was doing that. And I don't care how bad the Buccaneers defense is. Like, I really don't. Just because, even if it's a bad NFL defense, that's still tough to do. It is very tough to do. And, balls that went to the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage, he'd only thrown 2 of those that were completed. So he was stretching the ball down the field, looked really, really good. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think that he's, like the second coming of Tom Brady or the second coming of Peyton Manning, but he looked really, really good, and that's some promise. I don't think that this was a fluke. I don't think that this is a fluke, but I also don't think that this is, a buy all in. Like, go out and just, load him up on your fantasy roster and drop,
Don't sign him to a 5-year, $100 million deal right now, Chicago, what you're saying.
Yes, I don't think that you should go all in on him, but it's a great sign of things to come. I think that he's finally starting to get grasp on this system, and he's not having to overthink it. Because a lot of those throws, he wasn't just throwing it to the first read. Like, he was looking around the field, and he didn't have his hot feet, which I had said for a while that Mitch Trubisky he looks like he's standing on coals, and this week he wasn't doing that. And he was actually standing in the pocket facing Gerald McCoy, JPP, like legitimate pass rushers. So I think that this is a great sign of things to come. I don't think it's a fluke, but I also don't think that he's this great quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, anytime a quarterback has 6 touchdowns this early in the season, early in the offense, it's great for the team. But I want to get off Mitch for just one moment and talk about the Bears offense as a whole. Through weeks 1 through 3, we saw them do what? First couple of drives, they were going out, trying to score touchdowns, then they became conservative. This time, it never really happened. Rather, that's because the offense was just working so well, or because they're supposed to do something different. Jordan Howard did have an impact on this game whatsoever. When you look at the Kansas City last year, they never really took foot off the gas at any point in time. Do you think that there's a possibility going forward this season that we see about this much Jordan Howard, and then we just see more gadget plays? Or not to say gadget plays, but they put the ball in Mitchell's hands more and let him do more like read option with Tariq Cohen or Taylor Gabriel even?
I do think that that's going to kind of be the norm, seeing the success that Mitch has had. But I think, though, that this was kind of a funnel game. Like I talk about, they funneled this into a pass. Like I'd said earlier, how awesome the front seven is for the Buccaneers, and they're one of the best run defenses in the league. The Bears really just couldn't get anything going on the ground, and they knew that going in. And I think the reason why the offense looked like such a well-oiled machine is that the first drive for the Bears, they are almost an automatic score. And it's because the plays are scripted. Now that the plays aren't scripted later on in the games, Mitch has finally gotten a hold of the offense a little bit better, and the plays don't have to be scripted out. They can finally just throw him a play in and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. And he has finally gotten comfortable with himself to ad-lib more. And be kind of more of a quarterback instead of just a machine that just runs plays, So I think if you're a Jordan Howard fantasy owner, you can't love what you saw this past week, but I don't think that you should be alarmed because obviously they're not going to be able to just throw the ball around the field the whole entire game like they did this past week. Teams are going to have to respect the run a little bit. So I think this is probably going to be Jordan Howard's worst game this season. But with that being said, don't expect him to go out there and get 20 totes. He's not going to be carrying the ball a lot. I expect him to be used in the pass game more than what he was this week. I just thought this was more of just a Terry Cohen week.
The perfect storm for Jordan Howard just to not be in the game, basically.
Yes, I agree. So we'll talk a little bit about the Buccaneers. Fitzmagic may have come to an end. He was replaced by Jameis at halftime. The Buccaneers have actually already came out and said that Jameis will be starting after the bye week. Do you like that or not?
I don't really understand the decision, to be honest with you.
Neither do I.
I understand putting him in the blowout game on Sunday to see what he has, but he still looked awful.
Absolutely.
And the Buccaneers are what now, 3-1?
Yeah.
Going to a bye week.
No, they're 2-2.
The 2-2, yeah. The 2-2 into the bye week. I would have stuck with Fitz for at least another 2 or 3 weeks. See the season go. 'Cause right now they're still in the hunt. Not like the 0-4, 1-3. And then if Fitz can't keep doing it, then go to James, see what you got. See when we sign him, see what we do in his off season. But I felt like this was too premature move by Dirk Cutter.
Yeah, and Fitz he wasn't completing passes, and it's not like he was going out there and just turning the ball over like Jameis Winston does. I mean, Jameis was out there just basically handing the ball back to the Bears and saying, go back down the field and score. And I think that's going to be kind of the norm with Jameis. Even on throws that he was completing on, he didn't really look that accurate. And he has that kind of inaccuracy that is terrible. Like, you can have a guy who's really, really inaccurate, but he's not going to cause a lot of turnovers because of it, because the ball's going to be that bad. But Jameis just throws that perfect, inaccurate ball where it's just going to be 3 yards short or 3 yards to the left, 3 yards to the right. And that's your typical coverage in the NFL that gets picked. Mm-hmm. And we saw that this weekend. And he doesn't really... He doesn't have it, it's something weird to say, because like one play I watched him and he was running around in the backfield, and instead of looking down the field, he had just like tucked the ball away and was sprinting back and forth, running backwards, and it just looked terrible. And I think that's going to be the Buccaneers offense from here on out.
Yeah, it does seem like he shows flashes of being a franchise quarterback at times. Like, there have been times the past couple of seasons where he's looked like the franchise guy, number 1 overall. And then, like you said, the time he tucked the ball in, kind of like he almost got lost at what he was doing out there. Like, he just forgot what he was doing. Russell Wilson, he's the guy who always runs the backfield for 20 minutes. He always has the ball, though, in one hand, but can throw it downfield. Always knows what's going on. And Jameis sometimes, you're right, just doesn't have it. Like, he might just be a bust.
Yeah, I think I'm almost leaning towards that now at this point of his career, where he's going to hurt you more than he's going to help you. So I really don't know what they're going to do. Just gut call right now. If you had Mike Evans or Jameis Winston on your season-long league, would you trade them?
Well,
or not Jameis Winston, Djax. If you had Djax or Mike Evans, would you trade them?
I would trade Djax. Definitely. I would keep Mike Evans. Djax, he kind of one-trick pony. You're giving him a deep ball, you're giving him a clutch around space, and he's going to go for a touchdown. Mike Evans kind of more complete receiver, would get the ball in one-on-one battles. I would keep Mike Evans. Definitely try to set high on Djax.
Yeah, I would do the same, honestly. So Thursday night, we might have seen the NFC Championship game. Just a little preview with the Vikings and the Rams. Did you buy into that game at all? I mean, both quarterbacks threw for 400-plus yards, 38-31. Rams won. Do you think that that's a sign of things to come later on in the season?
I actually have 3 thoughts on this game. And I feel like, even though it's a short week, I feel like they'll all be pretty accurate for the season. I have 4 thoughts. First thought, best Thursday night game probably ever.
Absolutely.
The best one I've ever watched. Then, second thought, the Vikings offense is good.
Great. It's great.
They're good. Kirk Cousins can win that offense. They didn't really have a running back last week, and they still put up 31 points on the Rams. Number 3, the Vikings defense might not travel that great. I know this weekend they traveled, across 2 time zones, but the week prior to that, Josh Allen lit them up. So I do have some worry about the Vikings defense going forward. I do think that coming into the season they'll still be, top 5, top 6 defense in the league, but definitely worries right now. And my last thought is I don't think Jared Goff is just a system quarterback. He's making some real throws in that game. However, Sean McVay has that team rolling.
Yes, he does.
Like, that team is a machine right now, and Jared Goff is just, keeping it going.
Yeah, and, as far as buying into things on Thursday night, I never really do, just because one team has to basically travel across the country in the Vikings to L.A. to play on a short week. So that's kind of a bummer that it happened on a Thursday, because it kind of diminishes the value of the game to me. But it was still an offensive just showcase of what both of these teams have. I mean, they both have very talented wide receiving cores, both have a very talented quarterback, The difference was one team had a Todd Gurley, and the other team really didn't have anywhere to lean with the running game because Lat Murray is basically rendered himself ineffective at this point. And Dalvin Cook, I think, is still a little banged up. And it was pretty obvious to tell this week. So I'm not going to buy in too much. I'm not ready to just, hand the crown to the Rams and say, this team is just an unstoppable force. The Vikings won't be able to beat them come postseason time. But I think that it kind of showed that unless the Vikings are able to get a healthy Dalvin Cook back, I don't know if they're going to be able to beat the Rams.
A team like that, yeah. And it's a concern because Dalvin Cook, I don't think he played all the second half. And without that threat coming out of the backfield, not only in running the ball, but also in passing plays. Because last week, I was calling out pass plays because Lat Murray was back there. He was going to block. You're not going to put a guy with a bad hamstring after the block.
No, I agree with that. So I think that unless they have Dalvin Cook, I don't think that the Vikings are going to be able to pull that one off.
I agree, yeah. I don't know if they'd beat the Eagles in the playoffs without Dalvin Cook, to be honest.
Yeah, we saw it last year with that team too, but they had Case Keenum and Kirk Cousins' obvious upgrade. So we'll get to a segment that's kind of made its way to stick around. The word association from the NFL Week in Review. So this week, Week 4 edition, NFL recap. So, biggest winner.
Adam Vinatieri.
Andrew Luck. We found out he could actually throw the ball 63 yards in the air.
Just barely.
Just barely. Biggest loser.
The Buccaneers. Literally. They lost by 38.
Dolphins. 3-0 chance. They were 3-0 with a chance to go up 3 games ahead of New England. 129 yards of offense. Lose 38-7. Surprise.
They're barely lead the NFC North.
Eagles. They could be 0-4 right now. Every game that they played and won, the other team was within 6 points with the ball to end the game. Disappointment.
The Eagles, for everything you just said.
Steelers pass D. 363 yards of passing to Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco has as many sub-125 yard games as he has 350 yard games. That is your stat of the week. Impact injury.
Earl Thomas.
Leonard Fournette. I almost went with Earl Thomas, but the only reason I went with Leonard Fournette is because he hasn't finished a game all season, and if this dude isn't healthy, you cannot trust this team in the postseason. WTF moment.
Colts going forward in overtime.
Earl Thomas flipping off the Seahawks sidelines and overreaction.
Calvin Ridley will now have 6 times as many touchdowns as Julio Jones.
Mitchell Trubisky is the savior for the Chicago Bears.
Actually, at this point, I should just say infinite more touchdowns. Julio has 0.
Yeah, infinite amount of touchdowns to Julio. What did you think about Earl Thomas flipping off the sidelines?
Really bad look.
Terrible look.
Especially for a guy, even if you augment the whole team, you're now in a job interview for 31 other teams, and you look at the leader on that team, look at the leader of the other team you go to, and that's just a bad. You don't want to see imagine your boss flipping somebody off.
No, this is where I'm exactly going to say. Imagine if Jerry Jones's Cowboys were in the postseason, and in the first quarter, this team's looking like a machine. They could probably, they can advance in the postseason. Zeke Elliott gets hurt, and he walks down there and just flips them off. Could you imagine Jerry Jones going out there and being like, I'm paying you to play, and flips him off?
Yeah, that's the same thing.
It's the exact same thing. And, any time that a coach or an owner jumps down the throat of a player, we're all sitting here whoa, pump the brakes.
Uh-huh.
You gotta take it easy. And I feel like the thing with Earl Thomas is the same thing because he's flipping the bird to a sideline and he has 52 other guys on his roster standing on that sidelines, the same guys that were in the end zone praying for the guy.
Yeah, I think they aren't paying. If Pete Carroll isn't deciding if he gets paid or not.
Yeah, I don't get it. Do you think that somebody's going to pick him up in the offseason?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Somebody will, but I think that that's one of those things that they're going to have to sit down and have a long discussion about because the last time he got hurt, he threatened to retire. This time he gets hurt, he flips off his team. So that's not a great look.
Yeah, I saw a report today that the Chiefs are on the verge of trading for him this week, had a broken his leg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I thought it would be the Cowboys for sure. And then Jerry Jones would have got his chance to go flip him off. So a little bit of NCAA football talk. Hot topic from last year. UCF ran the table in the regular season, but still left out of the college football playoff. Able to beat Auburn, though, which a lot of people looked at as a playoff team last season. Playoff committee came out this year, said that there is a possible way for them to make it. Right now, they're 4-0, ranked 12th in the country, way ahead of what they were last season. Probably going to be favored in every game from here on out. Do you think that the committee's actually going to let them in? Do you think they'll run the table? And more importantly, do you think they'll make it?
So, I don't want to say I think they're on the table or not, because that's just two other things. I think
They're very good again.
I think they definitely could on the table. They'll have some tough games on the road, probably some close games, probably. But I don't think it's going to matter. If the committee said the way they can make it, what's the way?
Yeah, I agree.
If the way that they did it last year got them to number 6, and then number 12 now, what makes them 2 spots better than they were last year? I don't see a way, regardless of what they do this season, that they're going to get in. Especially looking at the team at the top right now. Like, honestly, in a game, UCF or Clemson. You think Clemson's in, 2 touchdown favorite?
I think that there's a UCF could hang with them. They really could. I looked at a spread this week that caught my eye. It was Pitt, and it was a pretty close spread for what I would have thought UCF would have been. And I'm like, man, I gotta watch this game. I gotta check it out. I just want to see if it was just Scott Frost kind of making these players good, or if this team's like legit. This team's good, dude. Like, really, really good. They were more impressive than Clemson was this week. I mean, I watched Clemson against Syracuse, and the whole entire time I'm thinking, like, they are going to figure out a way to win this game. And even there was a point in the game where I'm like, Syracuse is going to get the job done this week. I think that they could hang with any of those teams. I really could. I think the only exception may be, like, Alabama, but maybe Georgia, but I don't even know if I'm wanting to go that far. The UCF team is seriously legit, and I think that they will run the table again, and I'm actually going to be surprised if they don't. I know that they're going to get to play Cincinnati, who hopefully Cincinnati will be ranked by the time that they play. Cincinnati, I believe, is undefeated still. Just blowing the doors off of UConn this week, which, take that with a grain of salt. But if they get that ranked matchup with Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's still rolling, and they go in there and have a big statement win, and kind of just destroy them, I think that's the only way that they're going to be able to get in. They're going to have to rely on a team like Cincinnati to be good also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. It's like you said, you'd be surprised they don't get in. I won't be surprised at all if they don't get in. They go 12-0, or 13, or whatever it would be. They're not going to be top 4. They're not going to put them in.
Yeah.
And the big thing because of that is, remember a few years ago when Alabama got in at the 4th team? Somebody was talking to the committee about that. They said they put Alabama in because they knew Alabama would show up and play well. And they got benefit of the doubt for that, for what they've done for the past decade. There's no guarantee UCF could come to the playoff and play well. And I think that, on top of, just add that to the lack of strength of schedule, just gives the committee a reason to say, okay, we'll put UCF, put them at 6 again. Then we'll get a high bowl. They can claim the championship or whatever, but not going to be a national playoff championship.
Yeah, I could honestly, if UCF does run the table again, I could look at the committee and say, hey, you looked at Alabama's record from the year prior and the year before that. Look at this team. I mean, what more did they have to do last year? If you want to look into the past and look at teams and their resumes from years prior, I mean, what more does this team have to do? They went undefeated last year. They've went undefeated again this year. They have the longest winning streak in the NCAA. And you're going to keep them out. I do think that there is a way, but they're going to have to be reliant on other teams, obviously. And I think that the committee is even going to have to take into consideration the year prior. Because really, nobody's had the success that this team has had over the last 2 years.
I just have one reason why they won't get in the playoff, but we're going to get to that in a few minutes.
Okay, so Kelly Bryant, he was notified that he was not going to be the starting quarterback prior to this week, decided he was going to transfer. Starter Trevor Lawrence, guy that we thought was actually better than Kelly Bryant. Apparently Dabo agreed. Trevor Lawrence got concussed, exited the game. Clemson ended up taking a last-minute drive to beat Syracuse, ended up pulling off the win 27-23. What do you think about that whole situation with Kelly Bryant leaving?
First, I want to say that Trevor Lawrence, I know today that he should practice this week. Maybe
Yeah.
play on Saturday. But Kelly Bryant, he's still enrolled at Clemson because he has to graduate in order to transfer. So if you're Kelly Bryant, do you swallow your pride and go back? I don't know that I would. If I've already made this claim that, okay, I feel he said a slap in the face. If you make that kind of claim and then talk bad about the head coach, I don't think you can just go back to him. And I don't think I would, just from a pride standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, Kelly Bryant, I think he's already at the point of no return, so he can't go back. But the first thing I'm going to say is hats off to Dabo. I'm glad that Dabo went out there and just told him, instead of starting Kelly Bryant again, wasting his red shirt, giving him the option. And that's something that you rarely see coaches do. Come out and say, hey, you're not going to start this week. If you want to transfer, the door's open for you. And I think that was a really just like stand-up job by Dabo to do that. I think Kelly Bryant did make the right decision because really who wants to waste their senior year sitting on the bench, especially whenever you're not seeing a dime for your production. So good for Kelly Bryant, good for Dabo. Do you think that Jalen Hurts should have done the same?
Jalen Hurts, no. Because he played yesterday, so he lost the eligibility. He'll be a senior next season. Why transfer somewhere else and not win a national championship next season? Because he'll play in the game still for Alabama. He'll be a situational player or whatever. For that today. He'll be the same thing next season. You're not going to go to the NFL. Just graduate next year, win 3 national titles, and just go live your life. If I was Jalen Hurts, that's what I would do.
I kind of think that, there's no reason to be there on the team if you're really not going to play. And in big games, I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to get that much playing time. So I think he should have just redshirted this year. That way he would be eligible to transfer and play.
If he redshirted this year, my whole opinion changes. But him being a senior next year, I think just stay Alabama, graduate.
Yeah, I think he should have redshirt in a place that I think that he would have done well at. Florida Atlantic. He could go meet back up with Lane Kiffin, or go to play for Dan Mullen at Florida. Dan Mullen has been known for having those big, strong running quarterbacks. Dak Prescott, Nick Fitzgerald, Tim Tebow. Guys who really, their accuracy and, throwing mechanics have always been under a microscope, scrutinized their whole career, and Dan Mullen's able to find success with guys like that because he does rely on a power running game from their quarterback. And I think Jalen Hurts would have actually... He would have flourished.
Another school that he would be good at is saying that 2 schools actually knew what happened: Georgia Tech and Georgia Southern.
Oh, that would have been good.
Georgia Southern, he would have thrived.
Yeah, just running a triple option the whole entire game, getting like 6 passes.
David McKinnon at quarterback. He was Florida that 1 year.
Yeah, that is true. I think it would have been kind of fun to follow him if he was, going to transfer. So Ohio State actually knocks off Penn State 26-27 in a whiteout in Happy Valley. What'd you make of the game?
Great game.
Absolutely.
Absolute great game. As you all know, I picked Penn State to go to the playoff because they had all the hard games at home, including this one. And they had this game sealed up. But Ohio State comes out in the fourth quarter, has a 94-yard touchdown drive. They get the ball back, and on 4th and 4, 4th and 5 against the loaded box, after calling not 1, but 2 timeouts, Penn State runs a read option. They can take it for like a 2-yard loss, and Twitter goes nuts. I go nuts. Just anything I know about football ever, throw out the window.
Yeah, that was terrible. I mean, whenever they first got into that situation, I was screaming at the TV because I just wanted to see a crazy finish, and I was screaming at the TV, get it back at the line and run your play. I mean, Trace McSorley is your dude. Like, if you can't trust him in that situation, when are you ever going to trust him? And it shows the ultimate lack of trust to have to call a timeout and then another timeout just to make sure that you and Trace McSorley, like your guy that you've kind of watched grow up, it shows a lack of trust there. And I think that was really bad. If you come up to the line, you get a tired defense that's on their heels, haven't been able to substitute, you run that read option, I'm really not gonna bark at you. But you used 2 of your 3 timeouts, which completely
the game was over after that.
Yes, it completely changes the way that the ending of the game happens. I mean, you run that same play, you do have a chance to stop them. You do have a chance to have them go 3 and out. You use all of your timeouts, get the ball back with a minute left, and, hopefully do your thing. But I think that the use of the 2 timeouts was the biggest slap in the face to Trace McSorley you could have possibly done there.
Yeah. And I don't know who it was. Somebody today came on Calhoun's show and defended the coach's decision to throw the ball because Trace McSorley was 16 for 32. 50%, and he said that the read option, in his opinion, gave him a better option again the first down than passing the ball.
How many times have we seen Trace McSorley in crunch time go down there and just win games?
It's Trace McSorley. It is a senior quarterback for a top 10 team at home, wide out night. Anything was made for him to win this game, and he called out play call. It's inexcusable.
Yes,
inexcusable.
You cannot dig yourself out of this one, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, James Franklin is a phenomenal coach, great coach, got caught in a bad decision, and that happens. That happens. Unfortunately, it was in a game that probably completely diminishes your chances to make the college football playoff. So Notre Dame, I know they definitely surprised me. They were a team that played 3 close games right out of the gate. Comes out with this new quarterback, Ian Book. The guy's been on fire. They go in, completely whack Stanford 38-17. Book has 300 total yards, 4 touchdowns. He now has 9 touchdowns in 2 games starting. Do you think that Notre Dame is looking like a playoff team with Ian Book as starting quarterback?
They do look very good at Ian Book. But I want to get to the point I want to say with UCF about how Notre Dame can't literally make the playoff, can't UCF. And it all goes through Georgia. Georgia's schedule after this next week against Vanderbilt, they play at LSU, Florida at home, at Kentucky, Auburn at home. That's loaded. That is a grind for the next 4 games. My biggest thing about UCF is, who was the big win last year at the end of the season?
Auburn.
Okay. Right now, Auburn is ranked 8th. So they're still getting more respect than UCF is. If Georgia beats LSU and loses to Auburn, UCF, just from everything we've looked at the college committee, will not jump over Auburn at any point in time this season if that happens. Which means Notre Dame, if they win out and Auburn beats Georgia, Notre Dame would de facto be locked into the playoff, even without the final 13th game of the season for them.
Yeah, that would be worst case scenario for UCF for that to unfold like that. But just as far as Notre Dame, they passed the eye test.
Yeah, they look good.
They do look good. I watched them earlier in this season with Wimbush. Wimbush is a phenomenal athlete. Not much of a quarterback though. He didn't run the offense as good as Book has. Book is just putting up numbers at a high rate, and the defense is still pretty good. The offensive line is, Notre Dame offensive line, phenomenal, top notch. So if they can find protection for Book and give him time in the pocket to kind of find those, 4 or 5 star wide receivers, I don't think that there's any reason why Notre Dame wouldn't be in the playoff. But the only thing is that I don't know if I trust Brian Kelly. I know that I have a 1 win that I can look at right now with Stanford. They house Stanford. But it's also a Stanford team that got completely drugged through the mud last week and ended up picking up a win. Bryce Love goes out of this game, changes the whole landscape of Stanford's offense. Bryce Love might be the most important piece to any offense in the NCAA, and he goes out, and then Notre Dame pulls ahead and kind of runs to the finish line. I got to see more out of Notre Dame. Obviously, they have a top 25 matchup this week, but I don't know if I trust Brian Kelly in order to run the table, which will be necessary, because if they do lose a game, they don't have that conference championship game to help propel them into the college football playoff.
If Notre Dame runs the table, I bet they get in, because after Virginia Tech, they play Pittsburgh, Navy, Northwestern, Florida State, Syracuse. It's a tough game, and then they play USC. They can run the table on that. And if Georgia beats LSU and loses to Auburn, Notre Dame will have to be in the top 4, if not top 3.
Yeah, if they run the table, they will be in. but they cannot lose a game. And I can see Brian Kelly in a close game, kind of just like we've seen in years past. Choking. I don't think it'll be Florida State. I think it could be Syracuse nipping up and biting them. Syracuse, obviously, I think that they're a top 25 team. They played like it last week. They played like it all year. They're a tough team. Eric Dungy at quarterback. I think that will be the game that could come up and sneak up and bite them. We saw it happen to Clemson last year and almost Clemson again this year. But, obviously we have to see it first. So, I'm excited to watch Notre Dame down the stretch because I think this Book kid is the real deal as far as a college quarterback standpoint. So Kentucky, maybe the most surprising team in the nation. 3 straight wins in the SEC, all as the underdog. They're now 13th in the country. Are you ready to buy in on Kentucky? Keep in mind they are an underdog this week against A&M.
If they beat A&M this week, I'll be ready to say yes. But I want to see them beat some cream of the crop SEC teams before I'm ready to put them up there with, Auburn, LSU. Not going to be Alabama, but Auburn, LSU, Georgia. I want to see that happen first.
Yeah, I think this is the... I think that Kentucky is a very, very good team. You don't win those 3 SEC games if you're not. But I think this is the biggest measuring stick to date. You're looking at an A&M team that their scheduling, it really is the only reason why they're not a top 25 team up to this point. They didn't look real good last week, but they played Alabama with that roster. They played them as good as you can play Alabama, and then they lost a close one to Clemson, which a lot of people think if the refs hadn't stepped in and there might have been a bad questionable call at the end, they beat Clemson. So I think that this is the biggest measuring stick, and if Kentucky wins this game, I'm ready to put them as a top 10 team. I'm ready to say that this is a top 10 football team, and really, the remainder of the season, I don't know if you're going to be able to change my mind on that.
Yeah, I agree with you, too. Look at going forward. Like I said, for some reason, Georgia's schedule just makes everything comfortable season for me. They played Georgia in 4 weeks. If they can be undefeated going into that game...
Oh, that'll be awesome.
That'll be awesome. But then, can you not see Georgia just housing them?
Yes, I could. But I can see Georgia housing anybody.
Yeah. Georgia's a good football team.
Yeah, they're very good.
Alabama's so good, people forget how good Georgia is.
Yeah,
that's actually the thing. Because in the same conference, people forget how good Georgia is on the other side.
Yeah, it's definitely a slap in the face because I feel like everybody's like, all right, Alabama by a mile, and then the number 2 team. Which, if we look back to last year, Georgia should have won that game. So I think people really overlook how good Georgia really is. But I think we're both in agreement. Kentucky wins this game, top 10 team.
The top 10 team. Will be ranked in the top 10? I don't know, but they will be deserving of the ranking.
Yes. So, little preview for this week. 3 top 25 matchups, including 2 huge conference games. So, first we have Texas at Oklahoma. Texas is ranked 19. Oklahoma is ranked 7th. Oklahoma actually is a 7.5-point favorite. Who do you like in this game?
I like Oklahoma. I like them to cover the spread. Texas has played well, but they're not scoring enough points to sustain winning that way. And Oklahoma and Kyler Murray might win the freaking Heisman. He come out ready to go. And this is an 11 a.m. start, 11:30 start.
I think it is an early one. For some reason, they always try to sneak this game in early.
Yeah, I think this is the earliest game on Saturday. Actually, I'm going with Oklahoma. Kyler Murray to come out ready to go. I don't have faith in Texas to win this game.
Yeah, I think the only way Texas is going to win this game if they make it just like a real slow, grinded-out game like Army did, where Army almost snuck up and beat Oklahoma. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think Tom Herman almost has this undeserved trust with Sam Ehlinger, thinking that he can go out there and outduel any quarterback, which he shouldn't have that thought at all. Mm-hmm. And Kyler Murray, watching him is unbelievable. I mean, the dude is a freak of nature. I mean, gets drafted in the top 10 in the MLB draft. Now he's out there, trying to win a Heisman. And I think that Oklahoma offense is going to be way too high-powered for him. They can give up some points to Texas and still win this game. I think Texas is about a year or just a quarterback away from being able to dethrone Oklahoma in this Red River rivalry. But I think it's going to be a year too early. Do you think that Oklahoma covers the spread?
Yes, I do. Yeah, win by 10, 14.
Yeah, I agree with that. So number 5 LSU heading to the Swamp to play number 22 Florida. Florida is a 3-point underdog. Kind of a close spread, in my opinion. But who do you think is going to win this game?
That's a really close spread.
3 points.
I think LSU's going to maybe not house them, but win this game, by 14 going away at the end. I'm thinking LSU.
Yeah, I agree. I think LSU is going to kind of just wire-to-wire finish, just kind of dominate this game, especially in the trenches. Game like this, where it's going to be one of the trenches. I love Ed Orgeron, winning those kind of
Coach
games.
is a good guy.
So I'm going to have to go with LSU, and I think they're going to kind of run away with this. So our final matchup, the only one that does not have conference implications, seeing that Notre Dame is too scared to get into a conference. Notre Dame's ranked 6th right now. They are going to Virginia Tech, number 24 ranked team. Virginia Tech is getting 5.5 points. Where are you leaning on this one?
I'm going to take Notre Dame to win the game, but I think this spread would definitely be covered. 2 weeks ago, Boston College, Old Dominion went out there and just basically whooped Vatech at home. Vatech came in last week unranked, playing a Duke team they were underdogs to, without the quarterback, and basically beat the brakes off of Duke for the whole game. So I can see them beating Notre Dame. I don't think it will happen, but at home, I think the spread easily gets covered.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be an easy cover. I don't know why without Virginia Tech having their starting quarterback, this spread would be so low. I do like Notre Dame to win this game and cover. I think that it's going to be kind of like that LSU game where it's going to be like a wire-to-wire winner, and potentially Notre Dame can run away with this game. They're a very good team. Ian Book is probably the best quarterback that Virginia Tech's going to see up to this point in the season, and they couldn't even stop the quarterback from Old Dominion. I know that they had a lot going into that game with the quarterback getting hurt, but still, yeah, I'm going to go with Ian Book. What I've seen with him the last 2 weeks, he has been unstoppable. So I love Notre Dame, and I'll even take the points on that. So do you have any teams on upset alert this week?
Actually, I do, but just barely. Colorado going to 21 at home against Arizona State. Arizona State hasn't looked super great since they beat Michigan State, but whoever's going to get by this week, I do like Arizona State to beat Colorado.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I really like Arizona State. I really like their quarterback, Manny Wilkin. I think that he is a phenomenal player, and I just want to see Herm Edwards kind of just say, hey, man, go out there and win me the game from Jump Street. It seems like every single week, they have this dude in like Phillip Rivers mode, where he is just trying to come back in the fourth quarter, doing all this miraculous stuff, but it's too little too late. And I do think Arizona State, this will kind of be the game where they just put the keys to the car in Wilkins' hands and say, just win us this game. One team I actually like as an upset, kind of going to surprise you, and that's Auburn. Kind of been a whooping post the last 2 weeks. Or Mississippi State playing Auburn. Mississippi State's kind of been a whooping post the last 2 weeks. They got beat by Kentucky. They got beat by Florida last week. And now they get Auburn. So it is a grind of a schedule. But I really like Mississippi State's team. And it hasn't really clicked yet from Nick Fitzgerald, who I think is a phenomenal quarterback. It's not going to surprise me if this game is very similar to how LSU played against Auburn, where it's a dominance with Mississippi State just kind of controlling the lines, controlling everything about the game, then Jared Stidham kind of popping off for some points. But I think that they have the quarterback to go head-to-head with Stidham, and I think that Mississippi State could potentially pull off the upset this week, and I'm really not going to be surprised, and I hope that they do, just to kind of shake up the landscape at the SEC a little bit. So, Leighton, it's time for us to play a little bit of darts. Pew, 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 pew. We're playing darts, baby. This week, what is our game?
We are playing Would You Rather.
So, basically how darts works, we will take turns. We will both throw a dart at the dartboard, and it'll land on a number. The number is going to represent something, and apparently this week it'll be a Would You Rather question. Since we don't have a three-man panel today, we can't really vote on anything, so we'll just ask, Would you rather? Leighton, C, your throw. And we have a 6.
6 is, would you rather be a famous musical person, rather in a band, by yourself, whatever, or be an actor and actress? Who?
Ooh, I think I know where you're going to lean on this one, but
See, I'm torn just because of this. It would be awesome to be an actor and actor because you work like 5 months out of the year and make millions of dollars. But touring in a band, I feel like would be one of the most fun things you could ever do.
it'd be exhausting.
It would be exhausting. I feel like at the same time it's super fun. Just, I don't know. I'm going to go with being an actor because you get paid more money for doing less work and you still get praised like you're a god.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you're really not held to that high of a standard as an actor or an actress. Like, you can be mediocre a lot of times, and people still think you're doing an all right job. Where if you are a singer or songwriter, whatever you be, every single thing you do is put underneath a microscope.
It's a dog-eat-dog world out there.
Yes, you have to knock it out of the park every single time that you put something out there. And, obviously, if you're in a movie, you can do an okay job and get through.
Yeah, the 3 ways to be an actor. 1, be really good at acting. 2, be really funny. 3, be really good looking.
Yeah,
Like,
I would say.
If you one of those 3 things, you can be famous being an actor and actress.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that just because, it ultimately with singing and stuff, it all comes to an end. But like actors, I mean, we look at Clint Eastwood, man.
Yeah, he's still going. He's directing now. Whatever he wants to do. It's Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I think that one's a pretty easy decision. So I'm going actor.
Actor.
Okay. Now, my throw. And we have a 10.
Number 10. Ooh, okay. Would you rather be able to dunk better than anybody ever or hit a baseball farther than anyone ever?
This one's easy.
Let's hear it.
I would love to be able to dunk. Dunking would be the best thing ever, dude. I don't even care if I can dunk better than anybody else. Just let me dunk. Like, I just want to be the dude that shows up at the park just slamming it down before the games. Because if you go play pickup games with people... Now, granted, if you can dunk better than anybody ever, somebody's going to sign you to be the 15th man on their bench just to win the dunk competition for them. But I am all in on being able to dunk. I think that'd be awesome. And anytime you go play a pickup game, guess who's going to get picked up?
The guy who dunked better than anybody ever.
The guy who's going between the legs, windmill, everything. They will assume that you're a good basketball player, and really it's a high percentage shot, so like you can score.
Wait, a dunk's high percentage shot?
High percentage.
Who would have thought that?
Little fast forward to Hump Day Hoops Hysteria.
Sure, we say that anyone ever. If somebody comes up better than you, are you immediately that much better at doing it?
Yes, you are just a hair
A
better.
hair better at doing it. I want to say hit a baseball farther because what you said, we're the 15th guy on the bench. You get paid for that. But if you hit a ball farther than anybody else ever, you get paid a whole lot more money.
Yeah, but there's
how consistently can you do it is the question.
that's the thing.
And because of that reason, I'm going to go with dunking basketball because it would be cool as shit to be able to send the holy hell out of basketball once in a while.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome. Just be able to go out there and just dunk. And you look at, like, you have to be able to make contact as often as Joey Gallo does. And I don't think I can do that consistently. So I wouldn't have a job.
Yeah, we say that Vince Carter's probably the best dunker ever.
Probably, yeah.
Did he jump over the guy?
Yeah, 7-foot guy.
So you're better than him because you just had a dunk on Prime Shaq. Is that what that means?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
You should be able to dunk on anybody if you're the best dunker ever.
I'd probably take best dunker ever.
That would be awesome.
That'd be fun.
So I think we're actually in agreement on both of
Both
these.
of these, yeah.
So I think those were pretty easy because I think it'd be really awesome to be an actor, but being able to dunk would just be awesome.
I've had a lot of dreams walking into basketball gym dunking basketball.
That's a good dream.
Being a touch rim's cool, but man, being able to get freaking elbow above it.
Dude, how fun would it be to just like go honey dip on people like at like a local rec center?
I feel like at some point in time you always get just burn out on. I don't know. Would you get burned out dunking the ball that hard?
Absolutely not.
I don't think I would either.
Think about that. Think about what you just asked me there. Do you think you'd ever get tired of dunking a basketball?
No.
Absolutely not. Especially if getting that power this late in life, like you've barely been able to touch rim your whole entire life, and I can't even touch rim. Being able to go out there and just start slamming it home,
That'd be fun.
that would be awesome.
Be a good time.
By far. I think I would almost take the power of dunk to over anything else. Like if you give me like super strength or dunking ability, I'm going to dunk.
You gonna dunk?
Yeah, I'll dunk on everybody.
Yeah,
That would be
dunking.
fun. That would be sweet.
Dunking is fun.
So we'll go ahead and get to our saucy 6-pack of games. We actually have quite a few good games, some very interesting matchups, and maybe the most interesting game is two teams that I'm going to go ahead and say this is a must-win. Absolute must-win for both of these teams. Falcons at the Steelers. Where are you leaning in this? Do you agree? First off, do you agree that this is a must-win?
Oh yeah, they both have to win this game. The conference division are too good for them to both be 1-4. But I'm gonna go with the Steelers just because at Pittsburgh. But if you bet the game, just bet the over.
Yeah, just bet the over. Man, this is tough. I'm gonna go with the Falcons just because how many times do you just like mentally see, like you close your eyes and you think of this game? I just see Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley running wide open behind that Steelers defense, and I think Matt Ryan may be a little bit better than Joe Flacco, just maybe. Huh?
Oh, okay.
No, Matt Ryan. I think that I think that this Falcons team will I'm not going to say they're going to blow the doors off them just because it is a Steelers home game, but I thought that last week, trusting Big Ben at home, and he kind of fell short. But I really do. I think that the Falcons win this game, and I just see Julio Jones finally scoring a touchdown this game. So, second game, actually we have the Jags at the Chiefs. A very interesting game. We're going to see if Patrick Mahomes can finally get slowed down, has to play the best defense in the NFL. Who are you going with in this game?
I'm going to go with the Jaguars because the Jaguars, with the exception of last year's AFC Championship game, always seem to pull these kind of games out. They go against a better offense, they step up to the plate, and they get the job done.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the Chiefs have the horses on defense to slow down the Jags offense, which at times we've seen look really, really good, especially against bad defenses. So I think that the Jags will do enough to slow down that high-powered offense, and I think that the Jags will pull this one out. So Vikings and Eagles. It's at Philadelphia. I said that the Vikings and the Rams was a preview to the NFC Championship. This could very well be the same. Where are you leaning in this game?
I'm going with the Eagles. I talked about earlier the Vikings defense. I'm worried about them, and the traveling again. I'm going with the Eagles.
I'm actually going to go with the Vikings. I saw a lot of good things on a short week coming off of a terrible loss from the Vikings. They're going to have more time to prepare for this game, seeing that they did play on Thursday. So that's going to go a little bit into that. And I just think that the Vikings are a better team top to bottom, and that offense, I want to see somebody other than the Buffalo Bills in a fluky way kind of slow it down. So, and I don't think that that's going to happen. The Eagles gave up a lot of points to Marcus Mariota and the boys. I think they'll do the same against Kirk Cousins. So I'm going with the Vikings. Dolphins at Bengals. Probably the most surprising 3-1 teams in the NFL. Who do you have winning this one?
Bengals by a lot, actually. I think the Dolphins, Pixie does kind of one-off. Bengals have looked really, really good this season. Dolphins have too, but Bengals look almost one of the best in the AFC. I'm going to go Bengals by a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bengals as well, but I think that this is going to be a really high-scoring game. I don't think that it's going to be a blowout, but I think that there's going to be a lot of points scored. Bengals are one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. So I'm actually looking forward to that game. And do you think that the winner of this game is going to make the postseason?
If the Steelers lose to the Falcons and Bengals win, I do think that they make the postseason for sure.
I'm almost in that spot to no matter who wins this game, I'm almost going to say that they're in the postseason. I mean, 4-1 is a terrific start to an NFL season. You can go fight.
Was 4-7 and be 500. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough. Yeah. No, it's just Bengals.
Yeah, I'm going to go all in on saying winner of this game will make the postseason, and give me the Bengals. So Raiders at Chargers. I kind of just threw this one on there just to see if. Phillip Rivers, close games. Raiders have played all but close games this season. So who do you like in this matchup?
Raiders in a high-scoring affair. Begin the upset. Cedric Bethard almost beat the Chargers with Patrick at home. John Gruden and the Raiders would come in there. Derek Carr had a monster game. I like the Raiders.
I'm actually going to go with the Chargers. I'm gonna ride Phillip. I think that this team is way better than what they've been playing like this season. And at some point, everything's going to have to click for them. So I'm going to go with the Chargers. Monday night, two teams that have only have one loss apiece. Redskins at the Saints. Who do you like in this game?
I think this game will be closer than people think it's going to be.
Absolutely.
But I'm thinking the Saints.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints as well. I mean, give me Drew Brees in the Dome all day.
Oh, yeah.
So this week, for Pip's Entertainment Review, we're actually going to switch it up a little bit. So as all of you sports fans know, Conor McGregor fights Khabib Nurmagomedov in possibly the biggest MMA or UFC, whichever way you want to look at it, fight in the world. Probably in the history of the UFC. So he had recently just came out and released his Proper 12 whiskey. Layton's done it in the past where he kind of switches gears and doesn't just break down a movie or a show, but he's broke down food in the past, so there's no reason why we cannot put him on a blind test taste for some whiskey.
1212 Pips Entertainment Review. Sit on down for a movie to view.
Way we're going to set this up, we have 3 samplers for him. One will be Proper 12. One will be a direct competitor, Jameson. And the other one, I needed a third one, and I found something decent, so I got him a little Johnny Walker. Pretty popular whiskey for most whiskey drinkers. So we will set them up in front, and Layton will break them down for us.
Let's do it. So in spot 1, we have a Jägermeister shot glass with whiskey in it. Spot 2, Las Vegas shot glass. And spot 3, a Fireball shot glass. Of course, start with 1. Not bad, not bad. I don't think that's Irish whiskey, though. Number 2 is good. Number 2 is smooth, really flavorful. Big fan number 2. Number 3. Ooh, that was not as good. That was not good either. Number 1 or number 2. Try number 1 again. Okay.
This is great radio, by the way.
So, in third place, I'm going number 3. I don't want to finish this shot, to be honest with you. This thing's not good at all. Number 2, I'm going to go to number 1, which is the Jägermeister shot glass. Very good whiskey. And number 1, definitely the best out of these 3 is about number 2.
Okay. And this was 100% blind taste test.
I have no idea.
And you think number 2 is by far the best?
Not by far, but definitely the clear best.
Okay, so number 2 is actually Proper 12.
Was it really?
Proper 12, you'd pick that over Jameson.
Okay, what was Jameson?
Jameson was actually number 2.
Wait.
Or number 1.
Number
Jameson was number 1.
Okay, yeah. So Johnny Walker's number 3?
Yes.
Okay, that was not good. Johnny Walker.
You should have saw his face. He made the total bitter beer face.
Yeah, Johnny Walker gets no dips. Do not go get Johnny Walker.
What would you say as far as a dip scale to kind of give everybody an idea? Like, what would you say as far just a whiskey, not just a drink, just a whiskey that you've had? What would you say Proper 12 would be on your 3 dip scale?
Okay, before I say this, I'd like to mention that I am a gin drinker. Basically, if I'm drinking anything, it's always going to be gin 9 out of 100 times. But this whiskey, man, that's good.
Really good.
2.6.
2.6.
Smooth.
Wow, it's actually cheaper than Jameson.
I don't know if I put anything but ice in this, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Jameson and Coke's a really good drink, but with this, I feel like I would always go this by itself because it's almost not as thick as Jameson is. Like, I feel like I could have way more of this and not feel sick as Jameson. It's smoother. It's good.
You think that now?
I think that now, yes. I now think after having almost 3 shots of whiskey, yeah, it's smoother than Jameson.
So, just a little recap. What would you... Okay, so you gave Proper 12 a 2.7?
2.6.
2.6. What would you give Jameson then? Just to kind of compare the two and give like a, kind of a range to what the difference would be.
We'll try again real quick. The smell of Jameson is also more bitter than Proper 12, in case you're wondering. It's definitely worse. 2?
2? Oh, wow.
2?
So that's a pretty big difference.
Maybe 1.9?
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah. Proper 12. That's good stuff. That's some good stuff.
Okay, so just a little recap. If you guys are looking for your Saturday night drink of choice to watch Khabib and Conor, Proper 12 whiskey gets a solid 2.6 dips from our producer.
Definitely not Johnny Walker. If you see that, just walk past that.
Just walk past it.
Man.
So, any bold predictions for the week?
Yeah, I predict that Robert Duke will join Walker this week.
That's a great prediction. I'm actually going to predict that Conor McGregor finishes Khabib. I don't think... I'm going to go ahead and say just third round. I think that Conor McGregor will finish Khabib in the third round, potentially making him the greatest mixed martial artist of all time.
Wow. Okay.
And on that note, for Latency, for Drake, Dippers, we hope you enjoyed the two-man weave. As always, stay saucy.